Hamatakwepe, Miuma Lakotah. Imajanta Han Wakin Zitioshpai, Kile Hesapakin, Lila Wakan. Mitaki Oyate Tashunka Witko Tioshpai. Mitaki Ina Wanbli Zuya Tioshpai. This is a traditional greeting of my people that I am bound to give, albeit it's a short version. You think you live in a free country, when statistically this is the most violent country on earth, more violent than the two other countries that come close, Scotland and Australia. And it's more than twice more violent than either one of those countries. That is a statistical fact. So I don't go for the facades, man. I don't go for the Orwellian reality. I have only two concerns in my life: racism and freedom. I want to see freedom for my people in my lifetime, somewhere in the Western Hemisphere, whether it's in the Northwest Territories of Canada or somewhere high in the Andes. My people are going to be free.
In order to abolish 99% of the problems on the reservations, problems that face Indian people, the better off we're going to be.
I feel that this is history repeating itself almost exactly. That only because of we are fortunate from Bigfoot experience in that the improved communications and modern technology has afforded us a second chance. You know, everything that has transpired here is exactly history repeating itself. The way I feel about it spiritually is Bigfoot spirit is still here and his people's spirits are still here and very much alive. And I believe that they are in fact the ones protecting us. We are suffering the same hardships they suffered: starvation, hunger, inadequate shelter, inadequate warmth, same inclement type weather, the same harassment surrounded by much more firepower than they had, the fact that they were forced to surrender and give up all their arms and then were massacred. See, we're not going to make that the same mistake. If they're going to massacre us, we're going to take some people with us. Now, we provided the forum here for the Sioux people to address their redress of grievances, you know. And at that time, it's the 1868 Sioux Treaty or nothing. Originally, the Civil Rights Organization of the Oglala Sioux Tribe and the Interdistrict Council and the Landowners Association, all three which represent anywhere from 80 to 85% of the total Indian population of the reservation, asked us to come in to help them provide a forum for their redress of grievances. They had previously been involved in an internal struggle with the Bureau of Indian Affairs and the tribal government, of which they illegally were prevented from a redress of their grievances. So consequently, the court of last resort in Indian country has always been the American Indian movement, and therefore we were asked to come in, the first time ever to come in on a reservation. And we came here, met for 2 days with the traditional tribal chiefs and the holy men of this reservation. Met with them for 2 days. At 7:30 p.m. on February 27th, it was decided to come into Wounded Knee, and we were here within the hour.
And your plans were what?
Our plans at that time was to ask that the High Interior Department officials come here to negotiate with us, along with the senators. The senators came. The Interior Department officials refused to, and that was to create immediate change that Indian people could feel and see insofar as the land is concerned, Bureau of Indian Affairs is concerned, and the tribal government is concerned.
You mentioned earlier that you met with the traditional tribal chiefs here, but you didn't mention Dick Wilson. He's not one of the traditional leaders.
No, he isn't. The traditional leaders are hereditary and appointed by the communities themselves. People like Iron Cloud, Red Cloud, Fool's Crow, Kill's Enemy. These are the traditional chiefs that have come down from the last century.
One of the things that you would like to see is the ouster of Dick Wilson, is that correct?
That is a mute question now.
So how long do you see Wounded Knee continuing as it is now? What is it going to take before there is something definite done for the Indian and Wounded Knee?
Wounded Knee will not be over until either they, 1, massacre us, 2, address our treaty rights by law, according to United States law.
Is it true that you've declared this area a separate nation from the United States government?
The Indian people have always had sovereignty. It's been a quasi-sovereignty as defined by the Supreme Court of the United States, that we are in fact dependent domestic nations. However, we feel that we can, based on our land holdings, we are independent, we can and will be independent nation. We're just going based on the 1868 treaty, which makes us an independent nation. Now, until that treaty is addressed to, we will remain here in Wounded Knee. The land question has to be resolved in extended treaty negotiations about our treaty rights. Now, western South Dakota from the east bank of the Missouri River, according to our treaty, is our land. That has to be settled.
So do you see other Wounded Knees a settlement isn't reached here?
I see other Wounded Knees going to continue until the United States addresses itself to the treaty rights of Indian people all over the United States. This is one of 371 treaties ratified by the Congress of the United States, which make them the law of the land, equal to and on par with the Constitution of the United States of America.
Early in the occupation, you're quoted as saying that you're willing to die here at Wounded Knee. Is this still the case?
Definitely. As I stated, they either massacre us or recognize our treaty. And President Nixon, when he made that treaty with North Vietnam, stated via satellite TV to the world that the United States would live up to all its treaty commitments that it has already made. And we construed that to state that he would also live up to the Indian treaties.
What if the demands are not met? Then you're going to be here for a long time. This armed conflict or this confrontation is going to continue indefinitely.
I feel that the Justice Department in the United States of America, we have at this time emissaries going, visiting the Organization of American States, in fact making personal ambassadors, if you will, going to Mexico City and to Guatemala, Chile, Argentina, Cuba, and other countries within the Organization of American States. Also, we have diplomats at the United Nations that are trying to get our treaty heard in the United Nations. So consequently, you see, one thing you can't get the Indian to understand is how they can make a treaty with North Vietnam and pour in billions of dollars of reparation, and at the same time disregard the treaties made with Indian people and withdraw millions of dollars from the congressional allocations and appropriations.
To follow a protocol in order to withdraw from a treaty. One of the protocols is lying, violations of human rights of all types. At any rate, in our portfolio that we presented to the State Department of the United States of America on December 17, we listed an overview of our deprivation since entering into a treaty with the United States of America. Now, in our rights, we never gave up our sovereignty as Lakota, and neither did the United States of America ever claim that our sovereignty was extinguished. Consequently, we are still a nation as recognized by international law and by constitutional law of the United States of America. Article 6 of their Constitution gives us legal standing. Some of the statistics of our deprivation. Our adult males live less than 44 years of age. It's the lowest life expectancy in the world. Our women, 47 years of age. We have an infant mortality rate that is 200 times the national average. 1 out of every 4 Indian child born in the United States of America, and among our nation it's higher, but in America, 1 out of 4 is fostered or adopted out to a non-Indian family. It's a business for the drug companies and for the baby market and adoption agencies. We have lost, in the last 50 years, 50 million acres of land. Our water is continually being stolen without regard to us. Our unemployment rate in Lakotah land is 73%. 73%. Our natural resources that the United States of America steals from us, and our present land base in the United States, which is only 20 million hectares. We put in $30 billion into the gross national product of the United States economy. In return, they steal $2 billion from the taxpayers of the United States and put that into all the different government agencies that cover American Indian affairs. Out of that $2 billion, 87% is taken up in administrative costs. So out of the $2 billion, we're left with 13% out of $2 billion. So, then you see why the deprivations of the American Indian are so horrendous. We have diseases now on the reservation that are no longer prevalent in the rest of the United States. Polio is back. Tuberculosis is back. We have epidemics of every other kind of disease, especially cancer and diabetes and heart disease. Epidemic. Abuse of all types among ourselves because of our deprivation, our poverty, and our confinement. And is also epidemic. Every kind of abuse you can imagine, because that's what we learned in the forced migration into the boarding schools, the government and Christian boarding schools of America for about 75 years. Our national dropout rate is over 45% from schools. The foreign schools we're forced into. The relocation program the United States of America operated for about 25 years, forcibly relocating Indian people from the reservation, has resulted into 70% of our people, 70% of Lakota are in a diaspora throughout America. The Indian people in America are refugees in our own country. And the reservation system. Adolf Hitler wrote about that the United States of America has excellent policies of putting the unwanted and lesser human beings away and isolated him, and that would be a good reason for him to start labor camps for the unwanted gypsies, homosexuals, Poles, and Jewish people that he put into concentration camps. So he got his idea from the United States of America's Indian policies. Apartheid in South Africa, the 1964 Bantu Development Act, which institutionalized apartheid in South Africa, 1964, while in 1934, the United States passed the Indian Reorganization Act. Read them, they're almost identical. So that we were the role model, listen to that. The United States of America was a role model for apartheid South Africa. The West Bank in Palestine. That's pure Indian policy. Iraq, pure Indian policy. Need I go on? That's more than enough to withdraw from the treaties. The United States of America would have given them 155 years to live up to their own laws, to their Constitution of the United States, and they failed miserably. And they just continue to steal from us and do so many deprivations. You know what all those deprivations spell? Genocide, extermination. My people are about to disappear.
Today, Crazy Horse and 1,000 warriors are going to come take him home. There's going to be 1,000 horses, but only one horse, no rider. That's for him.
Now gone, many in the Native American community say it's now up to them to carry on Means' legacy and everything he stood and fought for.
Effective leadership and what it meant to be a freedom fighter and to stand on the side of the people.
Our people have always been on the bottom. Always. Almost forgotten. But Russell helped to keep that alive by saying we're still here.
Now, A members say it's time for the youth to carry Means' baton.
We'd be letting Russell Means down if we didn't move our communities on to the next level.
I'm very proud of that. I'm proud of him to show the world that this is my nephew. He's done a great job. Wasteado.
The fluent speakers of our language, average age, 65 years. According to linguists, it's over. We can't lose our language. You know what that means? that means we lose our worldview, our way of life. We want our roots. We want the familiarity of Grandmother Earth. We want to know the clouds. We want to breathe clean air. We want clean water again. And the only way to do that is to become free.
Men go from diaper to diaper. Simple fact. You need a woman at the beginning of life to take care of you, and at the end of your life. And if you're foolish enough not to recognize that throughout your life, you'll never know love. As a male, you'll never know love. And that's the one thing I appreciate. You know, a mother's love doesn't stop with her children. It goes to her mate. And to be a recipient of that deep love that is stronger than I could ever hope to be. Wow. I am so blessed. I am so blessed. And recognizing that as a male, I will always, throughout every portion of my life, need nurturing. You know? And you can't get it by yourself. You can't get it from the mirror. And you only get it from your life mate. And like I say, I'm so blessed. The guidance that the females give to the male never stops from diaper to diaper.
Let me be a free man, free to travel, free to stop,
I hope to see you
trade
again.
where I choose.
We understand the basic economic rule that those that control the energy control the economics.